Hey everyone, it's Krista, and we're here at work, and we're going to be doing the prep of this MH51 fuel tank. This is for the Halewood, the Mike Halewood replica, the MH900 Evoluzione from 2000. It was designed and sold online in um, 2000. Or reservations were taken online in 2000. Then they finally delivered in 2001 and 2002. Let's see if we can get you elevated a little bit so we have a better view. Oh, there's Elliot. Meow. Okay. So we angle you down some. All right, that works so far. Okay, so this is our new 4K cam. The last one, you had to be basically in another zip code for it to work. Don't need this for this tank. All right, so the original tank, it has this part in the frame. This is where the fuel pump was from the factory, and it came up like it was flat under here, and it did not have all of this. This is actually where the air box was, and we're going to put we include pod filters to go there. And so it just kind of came to here and back. We added all of this space in the front. We have a pocket for the YT12B BS battery from Yuasa. That was the one at the time which was current Ducati production. Let's see if we can do a little bit better with this. What's loose here? Nothing. Okay. All right. We're going to leave you alone. Hopefully, maybe. Yeah, I guess. All right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take down a few of the seams, a few of the flash. So let's get some glasses and a hobby knife. Oh, I'd do that. Yeah. Thanks. So we trimmed this off because we're going to end up with a drill guide on here to protect the tank while I drill out the top, and it helps locate the what do you call those round, the hole saw drill bit. It'll help keep that centered in that hole. And so by getting rid of this raised edge, it helps make it a little more reliable with drilling that out. The Halewood's a pretty interesting motorcycle. Definitely the thing it does best is look great. Looks great in people's living rooms or on the showroom floor. It's kind of funny, every time we get a new dealer, they find out about our fuel tank, and then they call their one or two customers with the Halewoods, and they're like, hey, check out this fuel tank. Do you want to ride your bike this year? And people are like, oh, wow. Can I just take some of the sharpness off, and then we'll trim this more later? Let's just kind of give this a real, oops, that's a little deeper than I was intending. Just a real light little drive so that we're not cutting our gloves as much. Alright, and let's go around this back here. Apparently I touched the cat today because there's cat hair all over the tank now. These do come out with a ton of static electricity. You'll see me checking the monitor every now and then to make sure that, like you're seeing something reasonably useful, and to see if there's any comments. If you hit the bell notification, you're absolutely welcome to join in the chat and say hi and BS about whatever. I always appreciate having company while I work. It also helps me want to do a better job somehow because people are watching. So you'll hear me joke a lot and say, "Oh, well, no one's gonna know. No one's watching to see me screw up. So just blah blah blah, whatever." I mean, obviously, I'm never gonna intentionally do something less than my best, but it always helps to have an audience. Okay, I need to stop this now. All right. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is cover the 2 vent holes. Actually, that's the second thing-ish. So the trickiest part on this tank, oh wow, I'm totally not in the middle anymore. There we go. The trickiest part on this tank is right here. This is where the mold for the bottom of the tank and the mold for the top of the tank are very close to each other. And so it's in that corner of the battery. You can see a little bit of light through the middle. And what was happening there is it's less than 3 times the wall thickness between the 2 sections of mold. And when you have that condition, you just can't be assured of anything happening with flow. So the plastic flows around. Wow, my hand doesn't fit that way. And it would cause bubbles. Now, bubbles aren't a problem, but the inconsistent location of them could lead to having the interior of the fuel tank where gas goes exposed to the atmosphere. Now, that's something we don't want. I mean, duh, but so what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of poking around. We've got a bubble here where it might be bad. All right. If that's the case, this gentleman's tank might need to wait a while in production. So to help make the flow through this part of the tank a little more consistent, I put a giant through bolt through here. And so I drilled a hole in the bottom part of the mold and I threaded it into the top of the mold. And so now the plastic has a barrier to flow across. And so as long as that flow isn't too upsetting, it will make a great fuel tank. And so I've worked with the shape of the mold near this a few times, a few ways, and I ended up kind of beveling the edges a lot to help the fuel flow. And so this is actually, I think, one of the most technically challenging aspects of this tank. Previously, the molders just didn't really care. And if a tank was bad, they'd throw it away and make another one. And at least this one doesn't have a whole ton of inserts, because a whole bunch of inserts makes throwing away a tank lots of labor as well as some expense. Let's see if we can make this a little better looking. So that's the hole right there. And try to get light on the inside. I mean, it's just, oh, there you go. Perfect view. And so all three sides of that hole has fuel behind it. So now real quick, let's do this. Can we block that? Okay. So that thing I stabbed is definitely not through to the inside. Like, I've got enough experience dealing with these pockets that form in this location that just blowing in the tank like that, you wouldn't build any pressure, and it would you'd hear it, and then when I stopped blowing, it wouldn't pop back. So right now I'm just trying to trim off the edges of the threads. There are some exposed threads. I mean, this was literally kind of a hack. I just really wanted to make that spot more consistent. I might have a chunk of this tank from another one cut up somewhere. That's all the hypermotard. Yeah, I don't know where it is. No worries. So, like, whenever there are problems with a part, I'm going to chop up the tank to help understand what went wrong. And none of these parts have problems. So these are all good chunks of tanks. Okay. Do I have any bad chunks of tanks? Sometimes. I remember seeing one recently. I just, it's like I don't really catalog in my brain when I want, where I have them. It's not real formal. Now, this is like a case of what I think they call this a blowout. You see that hole right next to the insert? And so air would pocket between the drill bushing and the aluminum of the mold, and it would push back. But you see on the inside, it's completely continuous. So that's not a problem unless this hole disrupts where the O-ring goes, which is what it did. So like every time there's an issue with a tank, I'm going to cut that tank up, figure out what the issue is, and try to solve that problem. Okay, we're back here now. I have a toolkit for testing this tank, or prepping and testing. So these are all the parts I use. We use wood blocks to go in the battery well. And we do that so that as the pressure bows in the sides, it has something to rest against. The tank will return to its original shape. Usually if I forget and it bows inward, I will just need to set the tank in the sunlight for a little while, and then it will be fine. Okay. So I just use a typical O-ring here. I think it's the same O-ring that the fuel sending unit uses. like a dash 113 or something. I mean, I've got it written down if you ever wanted to know. We include an extra O-ring with the tank kit. Kind of the big deal also with this tank is that we eliminate the parallel batteries that are stock. They're just a couple really lightweight, uninterruptible power supply kind of batteries. They're not very reliable. If you let your bike sit at all, they will just die. I mean, sure, they'll discharge, but worse, they'll die, and that's no good. I just use a plumbing gasket on here. It's a little bit harder rubber than the OEM piece. Okay, we've got those started. This here's just a chunk of, I don't know if it's 3 or 4 inch. And then I made 2 sides flat so I could clamp it in the mill. Drilled 4 screws, or drilled holes for 4 screws, drilled the hole in the middle, and then threaded it 1/4 NPT. Nothing special. And I'm just using a screwdriver with pretty low force to seal this up. I found that it takes very little force to hold back air. And so it's great to have it to where I'm not like I'm cheating. I don't need to cheat. In fact, I want not to cheat because all that does is add a chance for unreliability. Okay, you still can see. We've got the my pressure testing rig, and all we've got here is a 5 psi regulator, a needle valve, a T, obviously pressure gauge, a bleed off valve, and then I have a kind of proprietary different sort of connector. And the point of that is maybe I won't just plug shop air directly onto the plate because that would blow up the tank. And then between the fitting and the plate, I've got a shutoff valve so we can completely seal it and we don't have to do anything weird to dunk the tank in the water. All right, let's point you over so you can see what I'm doing. That's the rolling trash bin we use to test. I have that strap to keep it from bowing out where there's a little arm in the front. Oh, I should bring some of those tablets for the hot tub to put in here. All right, let's get this thing dunked. No bubbles whatsoever. That's what we want. All right, let's do it the other way. And this just helps make sure that there's nothing going on with the that junction. I think there's a little bit of air trapped under that wood, so we're just letting it sit here for a while. Yeah, this tank's great. So that water you heard dripping was the battery slot draining. Close this so we don't drown any of our kitties. All right, turn you back towards the work area and point you down. Okay. The wood did its job. The wood kept the battery compartment nice and flat. This material, the cross-linked polyethylene, it is not recyclable, and it is the most dimensionally stable of plastics for molding. And so because it can't be recycled, it can't be melted, it can't be reflowed. So no matter what you do, this tank is going to try to return to this shape on a steady condition. So it will deform if you put pressure to it, or maybe it'll expand a little bit with heat, but it will always return back to this shape. Unlike nylon tanks from the factory, nylon, the plastic matrix is not as reliable as the polyethylene. And so the nylon tanks, it takes them a bit more effort to return to their original shape. And then for the block off on this vent hole, it's just a flat bar with 2 holes. I don't have a groove for the O-ring or anything special. It's just a flat bar. I didn't even cut it short because it kind of almost makes an okay handle. All right, we'll start lifting out the tools we're going to use. There is another, oh, it's this guy, okay. Put that back in. So we use a step bit, 4 hole saws to make the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes on this tank. I originally used a cutout piece of rubber that's a lot thinner than the OEM part there, and then I eventually did cut it in half by tightening it down all the time. So then I just got that piece of plumbing rubber and it's fine. With a little bit harder durometer, it definitely will last better. I should actually try to figure out how to replicate that exact piece so customers can use that on their bikes. All right, what order do we want to do this in? I wish I had had a wooden frame made. I need to do that. I can build a wooden box to put this tank in to hold it safe. And that would help a lot. Okay. All right, well, lunch is here, so we're going to call this a part 1, and we'll pick up the prepping of the holes for part 2. And so thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you again back after lunch.